issued security. So how would you assess the capability of the Nigerian intelligence agencies to handle this threat?
Yeah, I want to believe that our people are capable within the limits of the resources available to them, capable of dealing with this situation. Remember the attack on Owo. They have made arrests, and the people arrested were working for ISWAP, and they are from Kogi State. ISWAP appears to be very, very interested in setting up its cells, active cells, in the local Jai area, from where it can then launch attacks in the federal capital territory and Abuja, the seat of power itself. So if they could do their investigations, that they got their investigations right, and they arrested the masterminds of the attack in Owo, if they could get their investigations right, and they arrested Kabiru Sokoto, who carried out the Christmas Day bombing some years back, I'm very confident that our people can deal with the situation. But we must stress that they need to also work with our foreign partners. They need to work with the Americans. When it comes to intelligence globally, the Americans are number one in the world. So there's a lot that we can gain by collaborating with the Americans. This is what I want to see. I don't want to see arguments between Nigeria and America, because America should be our partner in defeating terror. I remember when our president just newly took office, the president of um, when the president of US, Donald Trump, just took office, he invited our president over and told him, "I'm going to help you to defeat terror." And he proceeded to sanction the selling of Tucano bombers to Nigeria. This kind of deal was not permitted by Obama during his time, citing the so-called Leahy Law. He refused to sell weapons to Nigeria, but the administration of Donald Trump decided to sell weapons to Nigeria, and the Tucanos are doing a fantastic job in the Northeast and lately in the North Central. So I believe that we need to work together instead of um, throwing angry tantrums at one another. We need to work together. We need to work with the Americans. We need to work with the Britons, because two heads are better than one. And I want to believe that there are they have some information that we don't have. So it's a win-win situation for us when we work with them, and we share intelligence with them instead of simply attacking one another. The sort of thing that will make the terrorists happy where they are.
Yeah, Bigil, some of the issues raised, especially by the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, is that why is it easy for the US and the UK to be able to give security alerts of other countries and are not quick to detect theirs, talking against the backdrop of attacks by some of their citizens?
The question to ask the minister is America the same as Nigeria in terms of size? America is the size of West Africa, the entire West Africa. So if you have a few gun attacks on schools in the US, as big as the US is, you have dozens of attacks on schools here and there. When you look at the size of America, you must admit that they've done a good job of protecting the homeland. Since 2011, no terrorist attack by Al Qaeda has happened in America since 2011. And America has proceeded to even kill Al Qaeda leaders as well as ISIS leaders. They've killed the last two leaders of ISIS. They've killed Osama bin Laden, and they've also killed his former deputy, the man from Egypt. So no one should question the competence of the Americans when it comes to coming up with actionable intelligence and dealing decisively with terror. They've done a terrific job. If a country can be as large as West Africa, the whole of West Africa, even some of the countries around us, like Chad, like Niger, they are far bigger than Nigeria. Now we are talking about a country bigger than the whole of West Africa, still able to protect its citizens and limit attacks on its people to school, attacks on schools and all that, stopping terrorist activities from being brought to America since 2011. That's more than 20 years ago. Since that attack, no other attack has happened. How many such attacks have happened in Nigeria since then? How many terrorist attacks have we seen in Nigeria since 2011? I mean, there's no need to compare ourselves to these people because we are not even in the same class. We don't need to respond with angry words. We just need to do our best to work with our open. If there is no, if they didn't see anything, they will not complain. And don't forget, this warning was sent to their own people. They were not directly talking about Nigeria. They were not talking to Nigerians per se, they were talking to their own people. In that Abuja, we've seen terrorists attack the UN building and kill people. So the way we respond to intelligence, the rapid response that we carry out will ensure that the international community respects us. The way we keep our communities safe, the way we keep our capital safe, will cause them to respect us. We can't force them to respect us. And it is clear that they do not trust us. Because even Nigerians, seeing what happened at Kuje prisons, where these guys came, ransacked the prison, freed their people, walked back into the forest without a single arrest being made, without being resisted. Why would they respect us? These are the issues. We don't need to engage the Americans in baseless argument about why are they unable to stop killings in schools. How many times do such killings happen? How many times, even in Borno State alone, do you know how many times Boko Haram terrorists attack communities and kill our people? And that's a small area, for God's sake. So we ought to deal with terrorism a lot better. We are not in competition with America. We have not even reached that level of competing with America or flexing muscles with America. There's no basis for that. Let's keep our communities safe. Let's ensure that these terrorist activities don't happen.
Okay, are you there?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so let me take one or two questions. I still have some questions to ask, but let me take some comments from our viewers on YouTube. You can keep sending your questions this time around, so that we can attend to them as much as they can. Fabian Akeze says, "I will not be surprised if nothing happens at the end of the day. The U.S. predicted that Nigeria will cease to exist after the 2015 elections, and here we are today, still forging ahead." What do you have to say to that?
It's embarrassed when they said that, but even in Nigeria, there was so much tension. There are people who said that they'll make the country ungovernable, because they didn't win an ordinary party primary. But it has pleased God to keep Nigeria together. It doesn't mean that the threats are not there, but somehow Nigerians are resilient. We survived the civil war. Not many countries survive a civil war without breaking into pieces. But Nigeria is a peculiar country. It's a complex country to understand. That's why when people make some assumptions and predictions about Nigeria, they're always shocked that those predictions do not go according to plan, because ours is a country that is different to other countries in many ways. In many ways, we have some. I think our people are determined to make this union called Nigeria work, and the Americans underrated the determination of Nigerians to stay alive. We have to thank even Goodluck Jonathan, for example, who said, "Look, whatever happens, no body should be killed because of an election, because human life far outweighs how did he even put it, that no life should be taken just because for me to win an election." So when a president talks like that, it sends the right message that he's not prepared to stay in office by all means possible. So some of the actions of our own people ensured that the doomsday prediction of the Americans didn't come to pass. So, but it doesn't mean that those fault lines are not there. Nigeria is deeply divided. Nigerians need to be far more united as a people than we are currently. I don't think that at any time in our history we have been as disunited and disenchanted as a people as we are currently. So those problems are there, but it has pleased God to wedge us together, weld us together as a nation, and we really need to be grateful for that.
Yeah. Olatunji Atonda says, BKO, can we justify America's action of not relating security information to our security agencies instead of making it public? I think you disagree with the fact that it was made public. The message was actually sent to the U.S. national, the consulate, and those who are working with them. But he's actually concerned about the message being shared directly with our security agencies. How do you see that?
Well, first and foremost, it was not meant for our people, and this is not the first time. America routinely issues travel advisory. They tell their people, don't go to Niger Delta area, you could be kidnapped. It is only the Southwest that they advise their people to go to. They warn their people about the kind of crimes happening in all parts of our country. You know, it's meant for their people. They value the lives of their people. Yeah. Look at a Nigerian American that was kidnapped in our country here and killed by suspected headsmen. America came here and flew him back to their country. That's to tell you how much they value their people, and they don't want their people to die. So they've sent this message. This is for their people, not for us. It's for their people, and you can't tell them not to send travel advisory to their people. They've always sent it. It's just that this one happens to be blown out of proportion. It's not the first time. If you Google it, you see that America has been issuing advisory and warning for so long, you know. But it doesn't mean that every time they issue this kind of warning that then it will come to pass. The Nigerian security agents will do whatever it takes to ensure that it does not come to pass. And we are encouraging them to be very professional, to go after these terrorists. We know where they are. Look, some of the raids that we have carried out in the last few days in response to this warning, I wish that we carried them out earlier. So it's a win-win situation. We are seeing the security operatives go for these boys in the aftermath of this warning. When our brigade of guards soldiers were killed the other day, it triggered a raid on known enclaves, known camps of ISWAP in the FCT area, and the raids yielded dividends. So what I don't want to see is a situation in which we wait until there is a warning, or until our troops are killed, or until our people are attacked before we go for the jugular of these guys. For so long, I warned that terrorists will attack the University of Abuja, I said that the area was not protected enough. And invariably, it happened. We shouldn't have even allowed it to happen if our security operatives had heeded the warning that I repeatedly gave on journalist hangout. So we don't have to be reactive. We need to be proactive. Go after these cells using intelligence and decimate them, make it impossible for them to threaten our people and take the lives of our people. Look at just today, I was reading that so many people were kidnapped on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. We always have the feeling that, oh, some areas are safe and nothing will happen there, you know? So we just have to be ready. I know that it is not easy, but instead of flexing muscles and comparing ourselves needlessly with America that we can't match in many ways, we have to do what is right. If they are saying that they suspect that these guys are about to launch an attack, it must be because they have some information. Now our duty is to make sure that that does not happen. Look at some of the stories that we are reading now, that in Abuja, we have been able to arrest some ISWAP men. You know, some of them pretending to be security men, guard, some of them pretending to be artisans. Now we've been able to arrest a good number of them in the last 1 week. That means this warning by the Americans has yielded some dividends, because we didn't launch this attack until this warning came. So we need to go after these boys and not wait until they strike before we deal decisively with them. So if we achieve the aim of keeping those boys at bay, then everyone will be happy. It means that the warning has not gone unheeded, because the warnings are meant to not just direct the Americans to watch their movement or to be careful of the places that they go, but to also nudge Nigerian security operatives to do the needful. And we are beginning to do the needful now, so it makes me happy. I'm not for the argument about schools being raided in the US and they are unable to stop schools from being attacked. There's nobody can stop such attacks, especially in a country as big as that. Terrorism will happen once in a while, but we have to keep working hard to ensure that these guys are unable to kill our people, are unable to traumatize our people, because that is what gives them joy.
Right. Biko, do you agree with some security experts who believe the government is politicizing the security situation of the country rather than attending to it as and when due?
I don't think that government is politicizing security situation. I think to an extent there is a lack of capacity, and I give credit where I need to give credit. Look at in the Northeast. I traveled to the Northeast twice in the last 1 year. I was there. I celebrated Christmas there last December. You know, I was at work, so I won't even say I celebrated Christmas. I was at work even on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. That was the time when I did those stories about the Tucano, and I went also to some dangerous places like Koshebe, and I did where Boko Haram slaughtered more than 60 farmers in 1 day, cutting their throats. I went to the place and did a documentary. Now, that area is much safer than it used to be, but attacks still happen. Attacks still happen. Not that the attacks have been nullified totally, but now, as we are keeping the Northeast safe, the North Central has become such a big concern. The Northwest remains such a big concern, especially states like Katsina, Zamfara, and even Sokoto, and occasionally Kebbi, especially the southern Kebbi South. places like the Zulu Emirate, where they killed about 80 farmers vigilantes in one day. So I am saying that, look, we have not been able to protect our people sufficiently. Where we are making progress, yes, we have to admit it. But across the country, we have not been able to defeat banditry. We have not been able to defeat terrorism. Our people still get picked. If bandits can storm a train and took people away and cause some of them to be in detention, I mean, in their custody for up to 6 months, then we should be worried. So I don't think they are playing politics with security. They lack the capacity for now to deal decisively with all the threats coming our way by way of insecurity. So that is the problem. They couldn't have allowed or permitted the attack on that train to happen because it's a disgrace to the country, but it happened. Everyone is embarrassed by it, and we just hope that such nonsense will not happen again. So I don't agree that they are politicizing it. There is a lack of capacity to deal with insecurity in a very wholesome manner. And some of the reasons for this have to do with even insufficient troops and equipment. We don't have enough soldiers in our country. We don't have enough policemen. The civilian to police ratio, as it concerns Nigeria, is the worst in the world. Yeah. So we need to recruit policemen on an incremental basis for the next 10 years before we can have enough policemen to man our communities.
All right, BK, let me quickly chip in this one or two comments here and the question here as well. Fabian, I've taken Fabian before. Marco Yaidi says, BK, what do you think about the statement of the naval officer, Kunolaumi, about our government being complicit in these attacks? Deyinka Adegoke says, I live here in Chicago. The killings and crimes that happen on a daily basis is frightening. So there is another question. Let me quickly cram that into it before you... I think there was one. Okay, yeah, Fabian Akaise is saying, can any African consulate in the US release this kind of circular for her citizens without facing severe sanctions? This is nothing more than diplomatic bullying and oppression. Enough.
So, if you tell your people that they should be careful about their movement in a part of America, maybe where they are killing people, if that's really happening, how is that a crime? They didn't even go into specifics. They just said, look, terrorist activities are likely to happen, stay away from crowded places, this and that. I think we are just making a mountain out of a molehill. That is, Abuja is a place where we've seen terrorist attacks in the past. So if they are warning their people, I don't think there's anything wrong about that. I don't think there's anything wrong about that. We are just being emotional about these matters. If I were in their shoes, I would warn our people to be wary of the places that they go to. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to lose our people. For me, yes, they are killing people in the US, but there's nowhere, for the man who says he lives in Chicago, there is nowhere in the world where people get killed every day the way they get killed in Nigeria. And I've challenged people to tell me any part of the world where on a daily basis people get killed the way people get killed in Nigeria. The figures are there and they are really startling. So for those who want to compare themselves to America, let us look at the figures. Bandits will attack a community, unprovoked attack, they will kill people. 81 people killed in one day. There was a day that they killed 120 persons in in Casina on a market day. Is that the way they kill people in America?
BKO, some people
Do
might
they
want to
kill
argue.
Americans? Do they kill up to 120 Americans in one day? Do they? I mean,
BKO, if you
this
can
is
allow
what is
me chip
happening.
this in. Some people might want to
Large
argue.
scale killing of people in America that I can recall, large scale in terms of the number of people killed was 9/11, and that's a much bigger country than Nigeria. Yet they are able to limit the number. Even in Syria, people are not being killed the way they are being killed in Nigeria. Even in Syria, you see in Kaduna, people they will attack. They can even attack a church, take the pastor away, kill people. That is so cheap in our country. That
BKO,
is so cheap in our country. This is
some
a
people might want to
fact.
argue with you that
Let's tell ourselves the truth and challenge our security operatives to do the needful. Yes, this warning has come. What do we do? Are we going to fold our arms and allow another Kuje attack to happen? Is that what we want to see? Do we know how many prisons have been broken in Nigeria in the last 1 year? In nearly all parts of the country, prisons have been broken. Plateau State, Oyo State, in the southeast. And there's no time they do it that they don't kill people. Why are we being emotional about this thing? Yes, it terrifies to hear that this is going to happen, but let's deal with what needs to be done. Set machinery in motion, protect our people. And I'm happy that we are beginning to do that because arrests now are being made. The authorities are announcing to us that ISWAP men have been arrested in Abuja, which means they had been there all along. What were they there for? They were planning to attack our people. So we've come out to say we have made arrests. 35. That's a huge number. 35 terrorists can cause so much havoc if permitted. So let's deal with the truth. Let's don't get emotional about these things. Challenge our people in a country where we saw bandits attack a prison, set free their people, and they walked away unchallenged. We don't want to see that again. That's the thing. We don't want to see that again. America came to this country to free one of their men who was kidnapped in Niger Republic and taken into Nigerian territory. They came here, launched an operation, killed the terrorists, and took their citizen away. That's what we want to see. That's the extent to which they can go to protect one life, the life of their citizen. So why are we abusing them? Why are we even funnily trying to compare ourselves to them? Have we ever gone to that extent to go to a country to go and rescue a Nigerian from bandits the way the Americans did here in Ilela? Have we ever done that? I do not recall that we ever did that. But we must begin to do that. We must begin to show that one life of the Nigerian is precious. That we will give whatever it takes to ensure that a Nigerian does not die a needless death. That is the thing. That is my own. In my view, that is what we should take out of this whole controversy over what's likely to happen in Abuja. Whatever it is, let us make sure that it doesn't happen. That is the challenge that we have. If, in spite of this, if we get our hands dirty, arguing, and this thing happens, the Americans will feel justified. So, in order to ensure and prove to the Americans that we can indeed protect our people, we must go to ensure that those attacks do not happen. That's what we should do, and I'm happy that we are beginning to do that.
All right, BKO, because of the time. Gule Biodun, I don't think America has done any evil by warning their people. By doing this, they are assisting us too. But for them, our government shouldn't have woken up from their slumber, so killed us. Well, because of our time, that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses, as always.
Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully, they will make more arrests. 35 arrests in Abuja alone of confirmed terrorists. They do not deserve to live in Abuja because they remain a threat to our people. So we've taken those ones out. They need to work harder. They will find more. They will find more. And the presence of those people shows that.
Yeah.
In fact, I was reading Daily Trust that not far away from where some Americans were living in Abuja, that they found unexploded bomb. That this must have triggered their apprehension.
Right.
So, what have they done wrong by warning their people? You know,
Right.
is
Right.
the I expect them to trust our nation, trust our security forces. If they trust us, they won't go to the extent of telling people to go home. They need to trust us, but we ought to hand the trust by being very professional and very decisive. We will hand the trust of not just the American, but the trust of everyone. Well, if we allow attacks like Kuje prison to happen, and then the people carried out the attack, walked away unchallenged,
right, BKO.
not one arrest was made, then too bad. Too bad.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's call it a day. But
there's a lot to
this
talk about,
is
actually.
my view.
But yeah, thank you very much, BKO. And thanks to you too, our audience, for joining us on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim, TVC News. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you next time. Bye now.